AITA for leaving my sister's wedding? My sister recently had a destination wedding on a cruise ship. The ceremony was held before the ship departed since a few of us, including myself, couldn't afford the full cruise. I'm a single mom, and money is extremely tight. She asked me to be a bridesmaid, my 6-year-old daughter to be the flower girl, and my 3-year-old son to be the ring bearer. I agreed, despite knowing it would be a financial stretch. I paid for my own dress, my son's outfit, the 3-hour drive, and a hotel stay the night before. It was a lot, but I wanted to support her and she knew how much I was sacrificing to be there. The morning of the wedding, we got ready at the hotel and then headed to the cruise terminal. After going through security, we sat in a crowded waiting area for 2 to 3 hours. By around 11 a.m., my toddler was starting to unravel. He was overstimulated, tired, and clearly needed a nap. Everyone around us could see it. I mentioned to my mom that my son could probably rest in my sister's room once she got on the ship to finish getting ready. My sister was right there when I said this, and didn't object, so I assumed it was okay. Once we boarded and tried to head to her room, we were stopped. My sister's wedding planner told us point blank that no children were allowed in the room. I went upstairs, stressed and overwhelmed, and the planner came up to me a few minutes later to say she was sorry, but it was my sister's request that the kids not be let in. There was nowhere quiet or private for him to rest on the ship. She had told us we could eat at the buffet while we waited, but realistically, she was expecting me to go through a crowded buffet line with 2 kids, one of them already in meltdown mode, completely alone. At this point, I lost it. I didn't cause a scene, I just took my kids and left the wedding area. I ended up sitting elsewhere on the ship with my son screaming in full meltdown mode during what would have been the ceremony. To make things worse, I later saw Facebook photos from the wedding of my sister getting ready in the room, with all the other bridesmaids and our 11-year-old niece. So it wasn't a no-kids thing, it was just my kids who weren't welcome. I wasn't even included in the getting ready photos. I haven't spoken to my sister in 4 months. She recently reached out saying she misses my kids and wants to see them. I responded that she hurt both mine and my daughter's feelings and explained why. My daughter had been so excited to be a flower girl, and she heard everything that happened. She heard our other sister, who I already had conflict with, aggressively say, "You're not allowed in the room. The bride doesn't want the kids there." She saw me stressed. She saw her brother melting down. And she got the clear message, we were being shut out. She's hurt too. My sister's response? That it wasn't her fault my son had a meltdown, that I was the one who chose to leave her wedding, and that I might understand when I get married. She told me not to blame her for what happened. I told her directly, I do blame her. You don't invite small children to be part of a wedding, especially in a stressful, overstimulating environment like a cruise ship, and then make zero accommodations for their basic needs. She clearly understands accommodations. She arranged vegan food at dinner the night before for a guest, so she knows what that looks like. She just didn't extend any of that to us. I didn't ask for anything unreasonable. I asked for a tired toddler to lie down for a bit in a quiet room. I showed up. I did everything I could to support her. But in that moment, she made it clear that her comfort, photos, and plans were more important than our basic needs, and it hurt. Now she's saying I should apologize for leaving her wedding since she spent money having me there and I caused that hurt to my children, but I didn't scream, I didn't disrupt anything. I removed myself and my kids because we had no support, no options, and no compassion. So Reddit. AITA for leaving my sister's wedding and for still believing she owes me and my daughter an apology?
Relevant comment. Pandora 5 BC. NTA, why couldn't your toddler go to someone else's room? Like your parents? Don't apologize, but also don't expect an apology either. Your sister sounds selfish and entitled. Update me.
OP. The only 2 rooms accessible at that time were the bride and groom suites. Guest boarding early didn't even have access to their rooms yet. Their solution was that I laid him down on chairs to nap, but anyone with kids knows with all the new excitement, noise, and light, it's not realistic. About 20 minutes before the wedding was supposed to start, my dad got access to his room and offered to lay him down, but by that point it was too late. Update. I ended up texting with my sister again, and it honestly made everything worse. She said she knew I'd cause drama somehow, and that's why she had our mom on standby to deal with me. She doubled down on blaming me for everything, including how I handled my kids, but refuses to acknowledge that she played any role in what happened. While we were in the waiting area before the ceremony, we actually did a run-through, and my son was already losing it. She saw that he was overstimulated and not doing well, and still said it was ridiculous that I assumed I could use her room for him to nap. Then came the subtle digs. She made a comment like, maybe you shouldn't have let him down maple syrup for breakfast, because he had a hotel waffle. As if syrup was the reason for a toddler meltdown, not exhaustion, noise, and chaos. It was just another way of calling me a bad mom, something she and my other sister have done for years. She said I was dramatic, ripped the kids away from her wedding, and that I need therapy. When I tried to talk to our other sister about how she handled things that day, she immediately denied any responsibility, then pivoted to say everyone in the family talks shit about you and dislikes you, and even tried to send me screenshots. I told her that kind of behavior is disgusting, and she backed off. Now they're both saying I'm weaponizing the kids by not letting them see them, but the truth is simpler than that. They refuse to acknowledge that they hurt my daughter. My daughter was genuinely excited to be a flower girl, and she did have her feelings hurt. I know if she sees them, she's going to ask what happened, and I know their response will be to blame me. Of course I don't want to put her through that. I also pointed out that my sister never reached out to ask why I left the wedding, and I gave her an easy out. I even said all she had to do was admit it wasn't handled well and say she was sorry things turned out that way. But instead, she's firm on the idea that it's a me problem. I get it was her wedding day. But it was a small family event, and I was completely left to struggle with 2 kids while everyone else disappeared. I didn't make a scene, I didn't ruin anything. I quietly removed myself and the kids when it became clear no one was going to help or make space for them. She's also now throwing money in my face, saying she paid more than I did for us to be there. But it was her wedding. I paid what I could for travel, hotel, clothes, and more to show up for her, even in a tight financial situation. That's not something to weaponize. And she actually told me my son would have loved the wedding and wouldn't have had a meltdown if I had just stayed. Like toddler emotions can be logic get away with floral arrangements. The wildest part? Everyone in the family is siding with her. I'm being treated like the villain, when in reality I did what I had to do to protect my kids and not cause a scene. And for that, I've been completely written off. At this point both her and my other sister fully expect me to apologize. It's beyond me and actually making me feel like maybe I am the crazy one.